This is The Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral.com.
Good afternoon, Tuscaloosa, Internet World, West Alabama. How we doing today on this Monday? It is the very first Monday of January 2025. We appreciate everybody who's joining us, watching the Joe Gaither Show on Bama Central right here on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter at Joe Gaither 6, or on the Bama Central YouTube channel. Of course, you can always find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, on Amazon. The Joe Gaither Show on Bama Central is on your favorite podcast platform. We appreciate everybody giving a big old roll tide and hitting subscribe on your favorite podcast platform, telling somebody about the show as we get into the new year. We're turning the calendar over, but the topics stay the same. Alabama football, Alabama basketball is going to dominate our conversation today as the Crimson Tide on the court had a big old win on Saturday. Got a lot of wins off the field on the football realm of things this weekend. But the transfer portal window has also closed. Rumors swirling about coaches as well. So we've got a lot to get into live from the Derry Daniels State Farm Studios, just off of McFarland Boulevard. We braved the snow to get here, inches and inches of snow here in Tuscaloosa. Hope you stayed safe wherever you are. Made snowmen, got the hot chocolate going, celebrated your January 6th, however you see it best. We're excited about Monday Night Raw on Netflix tonight. And we're here with Mason Woods. You can follow Mason Woods at MAWoods_. Mason, what did you do? How did you get out of? Did you plow through? Did you had to shovel the driveway to get out of your house to get to the Derry Daniel State Farm Studio?
I had to brave this nasty weather, the blizzard outside here. The people can't see it, but believe it, it's there. It's definitely there for sure.
You worked at Home Depot today, so on a snow day, after you shoveled your driveway at 3-4 a.m. so you could get out to get to your shift. Wasn't even busy.
Breathe on the driveway manually to melt all the ice. No heated driveways here in the South.
Oh, so was it busy at Home Depot with the snow day?
Oh, everybody was in a panic.
Really?
No, it really wasn't that bad. Actually, it was a pretty normal day, honestly. If anything, it probably slowed down a little bit right as you started to see the snow come down a little bit, and because everybody immediately overreacts and is like, I need to take shelter through this weather. So it was, pretty normal day.
Good. Well, we're happy to have you. I hope you had a great weekend, Mason. Hope our listeners had a great weekend as well. They can leave a comment, question, query, or complaint in the comment section at Joe Gaither 6 or right there on the Bama Central YouTube channel comments. We appreciate everybody who does that. Mason, what do you want to start with? I got an agenda. I want to go through the transfer portalees because the portal has closed. And I want to talk about loss or not loss. We'll just kind of go through each of them quickly and kind of evaluate that. I want to talk about the announcements that you've got over the weekend. Damani Jackson, Tim Keenan, Deontay Lawson, really just anybody and everybody who is a tweener pick on the defensive side of the football decided to come back. I want to talk about the coaching rumors. You saw Kalen DeBoer and Nick Sheridan in Atlanta yesterday watching Michael Penix. And obviously, people who are following the tea leaves saw Ryan Grubb get fired today. Does that mean that Scott Huff, the offensive line coach, is also fired? I would imagine so. People wondering if that means that they're going to come back to Tuscaloosa. We'll have to talk about that. Before we talk about that, the biggest tidbit you got to realize with that conversation is there's not a spot right now. If you do bring him in, somebody's got to go. So that is a second part of that conversation that has to be had. And then, of course, Alabama's massive win, 107-79 to open SEC play on Saturday night. The hottest crowd that I have been a part of this year in Coleman Coliseum. Got to give a huge, huge round of applause to the Alabama faithful because they were in there early and they were rowdy. I don't know if you got to 100% capacity, but everybody that was in there was into the game, and it was definitely the most fun crowd I have been a part of this season in Alabama's SEC opener. So Mason Woods, dealer's choice. What do you want to get into?
Let's start with this basketball game because I'd love to hear the first person perspective on this crowd because like I was telling you before we got going here on the show, had some family in town this weekend, was a little bit unplugged on Saturday. Wasn't really able to watch the game as closely as I typically would, so I was kind of only able to get it through like Twitter clips and things, the raucous environment, but it seemed like it was a pretty good one.
Yeah, so first things first, you open the game, the clock hits 0 before tip off, and they lift the lights on the court, and they basically say, we would like to call everybody's attention to center court. As head coach Nato presents forward Mo Wagi with his Final Four ring, and the place erupted for him. And Mo wasn't like the best player on the team last year, but he was definitely a role player and a part of the run for sure.
Yeah.
And the crowd treated him, gave him a big old welcome back.
That's nice.
It was nice. And it was kind of like, okay, great perspective from the Alabama fan base. Hey, we can take 30 seconds to say, you're about to be against us, and we'll cheer against you in a second.
Give you your flowers, but you won't like us in an hour.
Exactly. And no, they did that. Welcomed him back nicely. And then from there, it was really the defensive effort and the rebounding effort through the game. The crowd responded in every instance. You got Oklahoma deep into the shot clock. Now, Oklahoma didn't really shoot the basketball well, particularly in the first half. 13%, 1 of 8 from behind the three-point line. Alabama was only 5 of 15 in the first half, but you got to the rim really, really well. You out-rebounded them. You out-muscled them. You had 14 second chance points on 10 offensive rebounds in the first half. And I think the crowd sort of said, look, they were undefeated. Oklahoma was undefeated, top 12, top 13 team in the AP poll. And you'd have to be not paying attention to realize how difficult the SEC is going to be this year. And I think the crowd kind of had maybe not angst as in like, hey, we don't know what's going to happen. But I think there was like a little bit of an edge, like, hey, if I can cheer a little bit, if I can support rah the blue, because that was really where the rah came from. Was every time you got a guy on the floor. Grant Nelson at one point was trailing a play, chasing down on defense, and then got a tip ball, it flew into the crowd, threw the ball back into play as he's falling into the crowd, and the people are just going nuts for him. And it was a fun environment. It was a lot of fun to be there. And so I think the next time it's in the 13th, isn't that it? Isn't that it's because you're on the road at South Carolina and you're on the road at Texas A&M. I think it's the 13th is the next time that you're coming back into Tuscaloosa.
The 14th.
14th, excuse me. Who's
Ole Miss?
All right. Well, Chris Beard's squad is going to be coming in here trying to play good defense and trying to beat you up on the boards, and it's going to be a really big game. So I hope that what happened Saturday is the first of many. Hey, the SEC season's going to be really rough. Coleman Coliseum's got to do its part, and they absolutely did on Saturday. So give a huge round of applause to the Alabama faithful for that.
Obviously this was a bit of a blowout game. The final score indicates that. As far as I'm looking here at the stats, and it seems like it was a pretty wide rotation. I'm sure, obviously, a lot of that was just a result of the big points gap. So just like in the first half, what do we kind of look like there? Because I was not really super locked in on it.
You only played Houston Millette 2 minutes, and he's coming off illness, I guess, last week. So, and he didn't play in the second half. So that was a little unusual to me, unless he went to coach and was like, "Hey man, I still don't have it. My wind's just not right." Totally a possibility. But really, in the first half, it was Mark being a kind of drive and kick dish, and LeBaron obviously led you with 10 points. Mark ended up with his career high in assists. He goes double-double, 22 and 10 with 10 assists. I think that really you got into the paint very well, and you look in the first half. Amori 4-4. Amori ended up with I think 5 or 5 or 6 or 5, but he's 4-4 in the first half because it's just little bunny pass and slam dunk, and it's like, all right, we'll take that offense every single time down the floor. The team played. Look, they're a good player. Oklahoma. You got to give the Alabama the Alabama players a lot of credit. LeBaron for defending him, Darian Reed for defending him, Mark a little bit for defending him, because Jeremiah Fears freshman, supposed to be a one and done player, one of their leading scorers. What's Alabama done with hot guards this year? Awful.
Yeah.
Terrible. Just really, really, really bad with big time, scoring guards. Only 1 point in the first half. He ended up, I think, with 16. Let me flip that. Really, he ended up with 16.
That's on a bad shooting day, though.
But 16. He got those last 10 or 11 in the last 10 minutes of the game where Oklahoma's basically already out of it because you've snowballed on them. And okay, buddy, you can take some garbage time. You'll finally get free a little bit. So defensive, in the first half, you hold them in the first half defensively. Listen to this. This is going to make your eyes pop. We've done this before. Give a guessing game. Really good defensive performance in the first half was how much points per possession?
0.89.
You're in the ballpark. Alabama was at 0.784.
That'll get you riled up for this. That's like what we've been looking for all season is a performance like that defensively. I think we would still like to see the shooting be a little better. We'd still like to maybe see the offense just look more efficient at times, I guess, getting the ball to people. But you score 107 points. There's not a whole lot to complain about when you play defense like that. And then, like I said, you put up 107 points. There's not many things to be upset with.
But now you have to guess what it was in the second half. Because it got way bad. It was
1 point.
Yes.
2-3
more. 1.351.
Yeah, that's bad. That's really bad.
You go in the second half and it was
of two halves.
50-59. Yeah. So you still outscored them, and they never really closed the gap because you still got +9 on them.
Yeah.
But it's just like the switch just like meh.
Yeah. It just
you held it at 29 in the first half. You basically whipped their tail in the first half, 48-29, and it's like you boys are done. It's mind-boggling. And now here's the real kicker. You talk about shooting better. You're right, but Alabama had 25 offensive rebounds. 25 offensive rebounds off their 38 misses, right? 38 and 38. Is that right? 40. Almost 40 misses, right? So they're 38 of 40 of 76. They're 38 of 76. So that's really right at almost 40 misses. So that you rebounded. You got an offensive rebound on over half of your misses, and that's what you ended up putting back. You ended up on the day 25 second chance points. You get 56 points in the paint to their 42, and then you end up with what you did behind the line. 9 of 29, really not that good. 31%. They ended up 5 of 19, so you still 4 more threes. You got to the line 22 of 30. We want to get to 26 of 30. Come on now. That percentage is not that hot. But there's just
when you rebound like that will cover up a lot of inefficiencies.
Yes.
That will hide a lot of problems. That's something that I don't really think there's any reason to believe that that's not going to be sustainable against some teams. Obviously, there's going to be teams that Alabama plays this year that will have someone just as big and strong as Cliff Amore, just as big and strong as Grant Nelson. So, you can't just rely on you to out-rebound every team, every game. But this team clearly can do that.
Our friend Julian Lee in the comment section on Facebook, she's got a message for you, Mason Woods. Smile, you're on candid camera. First off, there we go. And it's cold, Roll Tide. Love y'all and God bless y'all. We love you as well, Julian. Stay warm. Please stay warm, whatever you're doing. Stay warm wherever you are in West Alabama. We were joking. It wasn't snowing, but it is definitely cold, and you should treat it seriously. So, look, I think this was more of a case of Nate Oates talked in the postgame saying the guys were really locked in going into the game. I think that they just served them a knockout punch in the first half and then just cruised in the second half.
Sure.
I also think it was a case of Oklahoma. Hey, we have played a relatively soft non-conference schedule, and we weren't ready to go into a visiting arena that was against us all night. And they were, man. 40 minutes of the Coleman crowd. They didn't leave until. It was a blowout. They didn't leave until basically 2 minutes left. They started to head for the exits before, and so it was a pretty good crowd, really, great showing. I think that they overwhelmed Oklahoma. I think that Oklahoma's
exposed them a little bit.
Yeah. Still think you got a long way to go.
Yeah.
I still wonder if you can serve this knockout punch. You do this in the first half. You go 50 to 25, 50 to 30, whatever it was in the first half. Yeah, 48-29. You go 50 to 30 any night of the week in the first half. That's gonna. You go into halftime with a 20-point lead. You're pretty much setting yourself up. Like it's hard to let your foot off not let your foot off the gas. But I just am fearful.
Yeah,
I'm fearful of what happened. Oklahoma, I think, is inferior to you, Alabama. Mm-hmm. I don't think that Kentucky and Florida and Auburn and Tennessee are inferior to you. I wonder what happens if they hang in, if they keep the game. Like I'm still got a lot of questions about this team.
Yeah, I think we, obviously we've seen them be tested non-conference, but now that they are in these conference games, it's like a whole nother thing. It's a whole nother style of play. It feels like it's like a whole nother season within a season, basically. And I think, we still need to see what they're going to look like against the top of the top in the SEC. If they can, if they can take a 20-point lead into the half and then still stay locked in for the last 20 minutes, awesome. That's great. This team will go a really long way. We just haven't seen that yet.
So we'll see what they do. It's Wednesday against South Carolina, right? And South Carolina lost their opening game. I can't remember who they played, but they lost their opening game this past week as well. So they're going to be looking for an SEC victory on their home floor as Alabama played Mississippi State.
Got smoked, 85-50.
All right. Great chance to start 2-0. Great chance to start 2-0 where here's the deal with this SEC season. Look, you've got this class of Alabama, Kentucky, of Auburn, Tennessee, and maybe Florida, probably Florida, right? When it comes to playing those games, those are going to be coin flip games, and you're pretty much going to have to split them or split them or better. But you can't expect to go undefeated. When you're playing the South Carolinas or Oklahoma or on next Saturday, Texas A&M, these are teams you're going to have to beat. Mm-hmm. They're going to be good for sure. They're going to be talented teams, but you have to take advantage of the bottom end of the team, bottom end of the league where you can. It's just going to be so challenging.
Yeah, you say the bottom half of the league.
Bottom half, which is in the top 25.
The worst team in the SEC, South Carolina, is 10-4 right now. So, and obviously that's pumped up by probably a weak non-conference schedule for some of these teams, but still, the SEC is just insanely strong this year, top to bottom.
Where do you think South Carolina is in Ken Palm?
Oh, if I had to just guess,
yep. Top 100.
68.
How about 74?
Oh, I wasn't that far off.
Yep. 74 with an offensive rating of 103 and a defensive rating of 65. So, gonna try to run them out of the gym on Wednesday.
And, by all accounts, you should be able to.
Yeah, we'll see. Get off to a 2-0 start. What about Texas A&M? Because that'd be important. Texas A&M, Texas, because they lost to. Oh, they're 12. Oh, like geez, Louise. Did they beat Texas on Saturday? They did. They must have.
They did by 20.
Smoked them. Mars.
Beat Purdue. Beat Rutgers. And beat Ohio State. Beat Creighton. Texas A&M have been putting it on some folks.
That's a wagon, and you're about to go out there on next Saturday. So, I think you still got a lot to work on if you're an Alabama basketball fan. Encouraged, 1-0, great start, but I think you still got a lot to work on.
1-0 is closer to undefeated than 0.
Oh yeah. You can't go undefeated if you don't start 1-0.
True.
Great job, Nate Oates. And them boys on Saturday. We'll see what they can do keeping it up on Wednesday. All right, let's move into look, it's late night, Sunday night.
Someone sent me to bed upset.
Yeah, my man Hunter DeCyber. If you are not aware, we kind of rotate breaking news days on BamaCentral.com, and I appreciate Chris Walsh for doing that. And Sunday was a breaking news day for Hunter DeCyber. You follow him on the Twitter machine at Hunter DeCyber. He's joined the show a bunch before. He's on Breaking News Day, and he says, "Son of a gun," right before he goes to bed. Justin Okoronkwo, he said, why did he have to go, Justin Okoronkwo, into the transfer portal at 11 o'clock on a Sunday night? And I said, oh, but it's because the portal closes for the guys tonight. So the transfer portal is officially closed. If transfer portal is officially closed and we want to review who all is in the portal, where they've gone, what's a loss, what is not for this Alabama Crimson Tide team. So just real quick, I'm reading off of the transfer portal tracker from BamaCentral and BamaCentral.com. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18.
What is
19,
going on
20,
in Tuscaloosa?
21, 22, 23 becomes your final number. 23 players go into the portal.
What they lost last year? What they lose? 41?
Yeah, I think this 23 number has been about what the average has been since the transfer portal has been around. So you're not losing you're not losing an abnormal amount. We'll start there.
It's not a mass exodus like many people will try to, trick you into thinking it is.
But I think there are some sneaky losses, but largely I'm not so sure if you are an Alabama fan should be that upset. Now, I also am not in the camp that you should. What's the GIF that you see? It's a Mexican man or it's a cowboy, and he goes, "Well, bye," and everybody comments on it after every transfer. Well, bye. It's like, don't do that.
No,
you ain't gonna be doing that. Just tell them, yep, good luck. Yep, see you down the road. Good luck. We'll probably play you next year in some form or fashion, or we'll probably, whatever the case may be. But I'm going to throw these at you, Mason, one at a time.
Sure.
And I want a gut reaction. I want to play basically first reaction, loss or not, yes or no, whatever the verbiage you want to play, yes or no. But I don't even want you to think about it. I just want you to give me your gut reaction. We'll take them chronologically, so if you're reading on you can know what to expect. But just loss or not, Jaheim Otis, defensive tackle.
It's a loss.
Loss or not, Keanu Code, linebacker to Vanderbilt.
I think you'll be okay.
Loss or not, Jaleel Hurley, defensive back to Kansas.
You'll be all right.
Kobe Prentice, wide receiver to Baylor.
I hate to say it, but you'll be okay.
Wide receiver Caleb Oldham to Ole Miss.
Another one where you're going to be fine.
Offensive lineman Miles McVay to North Carolina.
Hurts a little bit.
Kendrick Law, wide receiver to Kentucky.
You're all right.
Hunter Osborne, defensive lineman to Virginia.
Okay.
Nikhil Bertrand, offensive lineman to Syracuse.
Okay.
Dylan Lonergan, quarterback to Boston College.
Our AI quarterback, Godspeed. Go have success elsewhere. I think the Bama will be fine.
Justice Haynes, running back to Michigan.
They'll be okay.
Devontae Smith, defensive back to Notre Dame.
Selfishly, I didn't like this one, but I think as a team, they're all right.
Emmanuel Henderson, wide receiver to Kansas.
Fine.
Two guys. Oh, Jaleel Hurley as well to Kansas. All right, Damon Payne, defensive lineman to Michigan.
That's okay.
Jaron Hamilton, wide receiver, no home yet.
That's fine.
Amari Jefferson, wide receiver.
Same.
Jayshawn Ross, linebacker.
That's okay.
Jeremiah Alexander, linebacker.
You're fine.
King Mack, safety.
You're fine.
Ty Lockwood, tight end.
Again, you're okay.
Sterling Dixon, linebacker.
Fine.
Elijah Pritchett, offensive tackle.
Later, homie.
Justin Okoronkwo, linebacker.
This one is a big loss, I think.
There we go. All right, that's all 23, and you named how many losses? Justin Okoronkwo, Jaheim Otis, and maybe Miles McVay. I think were the three that you gave me. And I think I'm with you on those. Otis, I think, is going to end up being fine. Otis' scheme scheme just probably wasn't the best.
I just think he will have a lot of success wherever he goes, or at Ole Miss or Colorado.
Colorado, right?
I think he's just a very good player. Maybe just didn't fit the scheme, like you said.
I think you hate to lose Miles McVay because of a depth piece, but I don't know how well he got along with maybe the staff.
Fair enough.
And Justin Okoronkwo, golly.
Oh, yeah, this is one that really just confuses me.
It shouldn't have after the other portion of the conversation.
Sure.
Who's coming back?
Yeah.
Stacking up the room. You bring Justin Jefferson. You got Nikhil Hillgreen. You bring Deontay Lawson back. Where in the world does an old sophomore fit in?
Do you think that there's anybody on that staff that's like maybe could have bit our tongue on Nikhil Hillgreen and kept Justin Okoronkwo?
Maybe, but the experience that Nikhil Hillgreen, you've got him and Justin Jefferson. Because I think you have a big question
the oldest
mark.
linebacking core in the country.
You have a big question mark on what Deontay Lawson's going to be. Not to be mean or hateful. I hope he's great. I hope he recovers perfectly. But
it is a question mark nonetheless.
Exactly. So, no, I think that you'd rather have the experience of Jefferson, Nikhil Hillgreen, and Deontay Lawson right there. You got Caden Jones coming up as a sophomore, and I think he played a little bit pretty well. You got QB Reese right there as well coming up as a sophomore also. You're bringing in a lot of inside linebackers like Luke Metz and Duke Johnson, Abdul Sanders from modern day. It sucks because I think Justin Okoronkwo is going to be a good player.
Yeah, I guess that's probably the biggest thing, and that's kind of the same opinion I have with Jaheim Otis. I just think he will have a lot of success wherever or at his new school. Justin Okoronkwo, the same thing. I know you have been very high on him, and we've seen this kind of mold of player have a lot of success many times, where it's a guy who is just kind of a freakish athlete from the jump, and you just got to get him into football. And once he really figures it out and gets comfortable, he's just let him loose and go. And I think we started to see a little bit of that this year in the limited snaps he got, and it was just enough to have other teams come calling.
Yeah, and I wonder
he got too good too fast.
I wonder if he stays in the SEC and is starting for somebody else next year. I wouldn't be surprised at that at all. I would not be surprised at that. I think, and he's got to take people talking about, oh, well, you should stay and develop. Yes, wouldn't that be nice? But you got to think about, he's got a very unique situation coming as an older freshman. Yeah. I think he was 19 or 20. I think he was 19 or 20. He might have turned 21 this year. And everybody, oh, Ryan Williams is 17. If you're 19 or 20, football terms, you got you want to be getting to the league at 21, at 22, 18, 19, 20. You want to be getting to the league right there. He's got to put in 3 years of college. He's got to put in 3 years of college anyways before he gets to the league. He needs to use, for his sake, I think he's on an accelerated time where I got to get on the field and start putting tape out there to show I could do this at a pro level.
I mean, yeah, I think that's totally
I can't
valid.
sit another year.
Yeah, it's every year is extremely valuable when you are talking about being an NFL draft prospect, because, if you're looking at two guys, a 22-year-old and a 23-year-old, and they're relatively similar as far as production, like, you're going to pick the younger guy 10 times out of 10.
Right.
So you always want to, if you can, get into the draft as early as possible.
I think for him, that's what's going on here, because you stay at Alabama, you're more than likely behind all the guys we mentioned still, even if you're talented. Then a bunch of them move on, and you get 1 year tape. And look, 1 year could be enough. Sure.
But you could go get 2 elsewhere. At a premier program, likely. I mean, we're not sure. You're not sure where he's going yet. I don't think. I haven't really seen many rumors or anything, but I would imagine it will be a program. I don't think he's going to take a huge step down. He'll probably take a lateral step, if anything.
All right. So that to say, Mason, you lost these 23 fellas. Is it doom and gloom? Are we picking up? Are we wading through the ashes of smoldering dust in the program? Like, well, what's the roster? What's the state of the roster according to Mason Woods?
Just fine. This is no different than it's been, since the transfer portal was enacted, or in Saban's last few years of coaching. This was the same thing at the end of the year. It's like, why are all these guys transferring? You see it. What is happening at Tuscaloosa, with the big, mind blow emoji? It's just like, this is just college football. It is what it is. I guarantee, I have not looked at the numbers myself, but I'm sure that most, if not all, of the top programs around the country are experiencing very similar things.
Yeah, 15 to 25 players in the portal, shopping around for other opportunities.
Expected to be contributors in the next year, some of which maybe already were contributors. It's just college football.
All right, you want to talk about tackle, though? because Elijah Pritchett going to the portal, I think should not surprise anyone. But you're looking at your tackles next year is kind of a little bit of an issue. You bring in this dude from Ball State, I guess. I don't know anything about him. He's got 3 years left. I
Seems
think
like
he's really, really raw.
Yes, very raw, kind of high ceiling guy, which I like.
Yeah, we love that. You got Caden Proctor, Wilkin Formby, Jackson Lloyd, Micah Bose.
Mm-hmm. I do feel good about Wilkin Formby with another year under his belt, another off season.
Taco Casa has a lot of what you like.
What is he? I heard that ad so many times, and he would just list off the largest amount of food I've ever heard one person
I
consume.
like the Fantastic Four. 4 tacos, 4 Sanchos, 4 burritos, and 4 enchiladas.
He's like, yeah, I'd throw that down on a Tuesday.
Dude, you know what?
Give me a sweet tea to go with it, and then we go out to the field.
This is a good place where I can talk about this. I'm mad at Taco Casa. I would love to have you sponsor the show, Taco Casa, and I do. You do have a lot of what I like. Let's be honest. Let's be honest. It's very good. But I rolled through the drive-through. I don't know. In the summertime, the commercial that we've been talking about has been live for a long time.
It ran a lot,
right? And I go through, and I hadn't been a Taco Casa customer that frequently. But I had a gift card, and I was like, I want to go try it. I want to try it again, give it another shot, see if I didn't order the right thing. And I was right. I did not order the right thing. I ordered a bunch of different things, and it was great. But I said, can I get the Fantastic Four? Because that's what he says. I'll get the Fantastic Four. 4 Sanchos, 4 tacos, 4 burritos, 4 enchiladas. And I'm like, hey, Paul, Carrie, can I take your order? And can I get the Fantastic Four?
Excuse me?
I go, what?
Oh, no.
And I go,
the Wilkin Formby meal?
Like the commercial? And they're like, what? And I go, that? I'll take a number 6.
Oh, no. Oh, man. Yeah, that's tough.
And so it's like, hey, man, great. You and Marty Lyons, because Marty Lyons goes, I'll take the 2 and 2. 2 Sanchos. And I don't know what it is, right?
Yeah.
But
we got to get these meals on the menu.
I know we got 7 locations in Tuscaloosa. I get it. Great. Look, I can be your next spokesperson. I really can. I can give it to you. But the first thing we're going to do, if I'm your spokesperson, if you want to come sponsor the Joe Gaither show, is we're going to get all the specials that we're advertising into all 7 stores.
You need a cutout of Wilkin Formby, and he's got his
and it's like $80. It's fine.
Yes, he's holding a tray, and it's got the Fantastic Four on it. And he's welcome to Taco Casa, and it's right there at the entrance of every one of them. Maybe post one up by the drive-through too.
And sure, it's like $50, but who cares?
It's great. Someone's gonna get it.
4x4. That's 16 items.
That one sitting there on the corner of 15th and what was it? Right by the McDonald's. I guarantee you're gonna get a lot of people rolling through there getting that Fantastic Four.
You think he's playing right tackle next year?
I think I feel pretty good about it. I do. I think
too.
He just wasn't quite ready this year, but I think you saw
stronger.
Yeah, I think
a little faster feet this summer.
Spurts, obviously you did see him struggle a lot as well, but just another year of strength conditioning under his belt, and I feel pretty good about him being the starter there.
I think he showed you that between the ears and behind the chest plate that he's got it. I think just like you said, a little more physical development.
I think they wanted to put him out there.
I do agree with that. I agree with that. All right, so let's use this to continue talking football and talk about what happened over the weekend with Damani Jackson, with who else? Tim Keenan, with Deontay Lawson. Am I missing anybody? I feel like I'm missing one. We've already talked about LT Overton, but we can roll him into this conversation as well.
Yeah, we got Justin Jefferson, right?
Yeah, Justin Jefferson is probably a part of that.
I guess that's all of them.
Yeah. All right. So people are talking about what are you doing in the transfer portal? What are you doing with NIL? And it's like, well, what we're doing with NIL is keeping the guys from keeping the 3rd round picks, keeping the 4th round picks, keeping the 5th round picks in Tuscaloosa for another year.
Yeah, I mean.
How bad? How nasty is this defense going to be? What's your expectation now?
I mean, look, we've done this song and dance a lot of times with Alabama football teams, where we're sitting here preseason looking at these names, looking at the stars, looking at whatever it is, looking at the stats from last season and thinking, oh, this defense is going to be so nasty. But I'm going to fall for it again this year. This defense should be.
You should fall for it.
They should be amazing. I mean, it should be probably the most experienced defense in the SEC, top to bottom. It should be one of the most talented ones in the country, top to bottom.
You should fall for it.
Yeah, I just drink the Kool-Aid on it, because this defense is going to be as advertised. I think Kane Womack showed us this year that he can coach his butt off. He can call a defense just like some of the best in the country, and just continue to give him more and more tools at his disposal with more and more experience under their belt. And yeah, I feel really, really good about it.
Obviously, you're losing Tim Smith, but you get
Imani coming back is awesome.
All right, your corners now. Look, you went into last season thinking, secondary is going to be such an issue. And it really turned out to be fine.
Yeah.
I mean, your biggest issue defensively was stopping the 3-yard. It was stopping the monotonous offenses. You had, I guess we got to be honest, you did have plays over your head a lot this year that could have been catches. Had a lot of almost catches.
Mm-hmm.
Arian Smith drops the pass on the first play of the game against Georgia.
Yeah.
Like, you have a lot of almost deep shots that you gave up. But largely the second,
really, really good play.
The secondary I thought was really strong.
Yeah, I do not think that the if you're looking for fingers to point at Alabama's defense last year, I don't think you start with the secondary.
So you bring back Lawson in whatever capacity he's going to be. You bring back Jefferson. You got Nakai Hill-Green that you're plugging in. Caden Jones is becomes a second-year player in the system as well. Inside linebackers looking pretty loaded. Your Wolf room's looking pretty loaded with Quay Russaw and Yanzi Pierre, and you're bringing in Justin Hill, and said goodbye to Jay Sean Ross. But Kelby's going to be able to play Buck and Wolf, but probably mostly Buck.
You feel pretty good about the defense.
Well, Keon Keeley, third year. Everybody's so excited about Keon Keeley. Look. Unless they just all, and it's possible, unless they all just sit on their rear ends all summer, all spring and summer, and think, we're gonna be so good, we got it. I think if they treat the offseason appropriately, then you might have one of the best defenses in the country right here in Tuscaloosa next year.
I think you should. I really, I think if you don't, it will be a bit of a letdown.
A lot of a letdown. I mean, maybe you're not getting the number one, but I think you have to have a pretty stout
5 defense.
Yeah, pretty stout, pretty stellar defense that's leading the team while you're breaking in Austin Mack under center, or
Keelan Russell,
or erasing all of your Ty Simpson sins. We threw an interception. Defense back out there.
Get on out there, boys. Came on back with that note card.
Okay, let's keep it going. We got a little bit more time on the Joe Gaither Show. We're live in the Derek Daniel State Farm Studios right here off McFarland Boulevard. You can call Derek and his team at 205-758-3391 for all your insurance needs. Like a good neighbor, Derek Daniel and State Farm is there. They're upstairs right now. I saw them in the parking lot. You can call them for home, life, auto insurance needs. 205-758-3391. Like a good neighbor, Derek Daniel is there. Call and see how much Derek can save you today. So, a couple coaching moves as we continue on the Joe Gaither Show. Nothing official at all, but yesterday in Atlanta, Kalen DeBoer is on the sidelines with Nick Sheridan watching Michael Penix play the last game. And Michael Penix and Bryce Young dueled it out. Great game. Great game. Bryce Young looks like the man again.
Touchdown. Whoa, did you see it?
He was great.
Dude, that was so tough. Bryce Young. He's on my fantasy team next year. It's happening. I'm drafting him.
First overall, we got to make it happen. We don't care about value.
I need it. Bryce is like the resurgency this year is not going to get talked about enough because everybody, Sam Darnold, which is great. Sam Darnold, awesome. You've been in the league for 6 years. You finally get a great year under your belt. But Bryce Young was written off as
Bryce baby.
People looked at this man as the worst draft pick in the history of the NFL. like 8 weeks ago. And here we are at the end of the season, and he's one of the most promising young quarterbacks in the league.
Vanilla Bryce baby.
It's awesome.
What
What changed?
What changed was
He got benched for a few weeks. Adam Thielen came back.
I guess so. I have no idea.
I mean, I don't know because I've only watched a handful of Panthers games. I've definitely watched them a lot more since Bryce started playing well. But I probably
I don't subject myself to watch the Panthers.
I watched 1 or 2 games when he played really, really poorly at the beginning of the season, and I said, "This is not fun to watch. No more Carolina Panthers in my house." And then he started playing really well, and you turn it back on, and it's like, what happened? What changed? This is the same team, the same coach.
He's just letting it loose a little more.
I guess.
Calling a little more aggressive plays.
Maybe I really don't know. I definitely think Thielen coming back helps. You know, what I mean, gives them a consistent option, but. Man, Bryce is just slinging it. He is doing what he did at Alabama. I saw a thread on Twitter today of him, and it's kind of set side by side with plays when he was at Alabama, and it's like he looks the same. He looks just as comfortable now as he did then.
That's not what I want to talk about, though.
No.
All these people online talking about getting rid of Nick Sheridan. Why do you think First,
he was in Atlanta to interview.
That's what. Okay, here's it. I don't understand. Why do you think they're hanging out together? do you think they're just going to watch Michael Penix together just for Kalen DeBoer to turn around and fire him the next day?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Like, maybe it's that cold blooded. Maybe
Kalen DeBoer and Raheem Morris. They go all the way back.
Of course, they're there to watch Michael Penix. Like, that's cool, but like. To me, that's such a clear-cut sign that, Sheridan's not going anywhere. Boys. It's such a clear-cut sign that they ain't going nowhere. You combine this, and that's why. The second part of this. Mm-hmm. Ryan Grubb gets fired from the Seattle Seahawks, and obviously Scott Huff, the offensive line coach, with him. And people, bring Ryan Grubb, offensive coordinator, back to Tuscaloosa. And okay, that's great, Billy, but who are you going to fire? Because you only get, 10 on-field coaches, and I'm not looking at RollTide.com, but the last time that I checked, you fired Colin Hitchler last Friday, so that you could promote Chuck Burrell and keep him as an on-field coach. So that math tells me that you're full, at least at the moment. So who are you going to fire? Are you going to fire Nick Sheridan? And if you do, I can go along with you a little bit, but you're telling me that Nick Sheridan just didn't call the right plays, or wasn't able to coach Jalen Milroe well enough, or wasn't able to tailor the right plan each and every week. I don't know really what are we doing here? Are you firing Brian Ellis and demoting Nick Sheridan back to tight ends coach and giving Ryan Grubb his job back? Are you firing Ryan Ellis and making Ryan Grubb the tight ends coach / offensive co-offensive coordinator? What do you do? Do you demote someone and say, hey, you can go the Chuck Morrell route when Jamarcus Shepard gets a head coaching job in a year or 3? What are we doing? How do all these pieces fall together here? Because I don't see how Ryan Grubb fits on the staff without making another move.
I mean, I think maybe the Chuck Morrell route is an option of having. A special assistant to the head coach, is that an on-field role?
He was an on-field,
so
was not.
I don't know, obviously, what these conversations look like behind closed doors. This is a man who was just an offensive coordinator in the NFL, so I'm sure there are still a lot of teams, calling him for coaching jobs. But if he wanted to, I would imagine Kalen DeBoer would be open to having him on the staff in some capacity, and I think you could potentially have him serve in the same role that Chuck Morrell was, and just kind of be this guy in waiting where, all right, the second, whether it's Nick Sheridan, whether it's Jamarcus Shepard, like you just said, whoever it is, leaves for whatever other job they take. All right, slot right in, buddy. I could see that. I don't know.
So did Nick Sheridan do a poor enough job to be replaced? That's my question. That's the next question to me.
I don't think so. What do the people who think he did? What do you think Ryan Grubb would have done this year? He just had an NFL caliber team that he couldn't really find a ton of success with. So what makes you think he was going to do it with Jalen Milroe under center, with an offensive line that was built like Swiss cheese half of the year, and with two solid receivers and like not really a third option? I don't really think swapping out the coach changes a lot of things for you. This offense from the start was just kind of handcuffed. It just is what it is.
So what do we do further with Chris Kapilovic versus Scott Huff, who now seems to be on the free agent line? Is Chris Kapilovic, every time I spoke with him this year, seemed super engaging, seemed super rah-rah coach. Tyler Booker had his back in every single press conference, always talking about Coach Cap's got us ready, Coach Cap's this, Coach Cap's that. High praises from the guys.
I mean, do we think the offensive line played poor enough to warrant a change at the coaching position?
They weren't good.
They certainly weren't. I think it's tough because, Tyler Booker being as good as he was, he would have been that good with any coach coaching him probably. So I think you kind of have to just not even acknowledge him as a part of the line when you're looking at it. Elijah Pritchett was bad. The left side was not a whole lot better. Parker Brailsford was great this year, so that was a plus. I think that one is more intriguing to me, certainly. I think that's more likely to happen if there's going to be a change. A lot of people are talking about, Sheridan for growth. I think you can go ahead and write that off probably. But the Kapilovic for Huff is maybe at least on the table.
I can see that as well, but
I just don't know if they played bad enough to justify it. I still think.
I just keep wondering to myself, how much different is this with a pocket passing quarterback?
With a
how much different is this
quarterback?
With a quarterback who can go 1 to 2 to 3, 1 to 3 to 3, check down. Hot route, bam. Hot route, check down. Overwhelming blitz, slide protection left. Got to get it out right.
That would just. Yeah, that would make the offense look significantly different than it does now, and yet we really can't know what the offensive line, how they would be able to perform with that.
Could we manipulate time, fast forward Dylan Nottingham 2 years, and then plug him into this offense?
I would like to see that.
Dylan, come back. Dylan, come back.
Austin Mack. That's our QB of the future right there. Future first-round draft pick, Austin Mack.
My big concern with Austin Mack.
Let's see, he'll be maybe probably a New York Giant by that time because they'll still be terrible.
Yeah, because they're going to draft a quarterback this year in this bad. All the teams drafting quarterbacks this year in this class will be drafting quarterbacks again in 2 years. You saw somebody had Jalen as the 4th best. Mel Kiper had Jalen as the 4th best quarterback in this class.
I don't like to hear this as a fan of a team that possesses pick number 1 overall.
Dude, do not draft a quarterback.
I sure wish they wouldn't. Sure wish that they wouldn't.
Y'all are drafting Cam Ward, baby.
I want it here in a perfect world. You trade back to 3, you take Abdul Carter, and you load up on whatever somebody will give you to, sell the farm to go up and get. Because it's either going to be Shador or Cam Ward at 3, at that 2 pick.
Yeah, I think it's going to be Cam Ward.
Yeah. Whoever, I don't want it. I don't want whoever it is. Look, nothing against any of these guys. I just don't think that they are particularly valuable NFL draft prospects. I think all of them really are very, very flawed prospects.
Yes, it's a horrible. They're talking about, golly, it's a horrible year. It's a horrible year to need a quarterback. People talk about, yesterday there were Bears. You went from the 7 to 10 pick because you won. You should have lost. It's like, dude, no, it's fine. Like, it's 3 picks. It's gonna be fine. So I don't know what's going to happen with its Alabama coaching staff. I think that Nick Sheridan stays. I think that Jamarcus Shepard absolutely stays and is a lock. I don't think that Nick Sheridan. I don't think he did a poor enough job to warrant any sort of demotion. Now,
I don't think we'll be having the same conversation about him this time next year.
Right. I agree. I think you're going to be thinking, wow, what an offense that Alabama had. I think that so much of this year was just kind of a let's get through it.
Yeah.
Let's patchwork it together until we can get to 2025 and make it look a lot more what we want. So I'm not sure what Ryan Grubb does and what Scott Huff does, but I just have a deep feeling that Nick Sheridan's not going anywhere.
I don't think so either. I texted you right when I saw this announcement, like, oh, is this something maybe interesting, you know? But yeah, no, I think you're right. I just don't think, given the like we talked about, the handcuffs that were put on this offense from game one, from day one of practice, even. I don't think you can really put all the blame on him for the offensive performance this year. Now, you know, if we're sitting here next year and Alabama was still abysmal on offense in some of the most crucial times of the year, then sure, you know, fire him into the sun. But I don't foresee that happening.
All right. You got anything else for people today?
We could mention just real quick some of the Bama in the NFL big week this week. Obviously week 18, so a lot of guys
there's no
playing
Monday Night
against
Football.
scrubs.
Yeah, no Monday Night Football, so we can get into that.
Yeah,
I guess.
but Jahmyr Gibbs, 4 touchdowns
Beast.
against the Vikings, locks up number 1 seed in the NFC. I was in the camp of, I thought the David Montgomery injury was going to be really, really significant for the Lions, and he's just put the team on his back and said, I can do it all. I can be Sonic and Knuckles and just do it myself. So he was awesome. Najee Harris, I think, got over 1,000 yards for the 4th time in his career now.
Troy Aikman took a big old doo-doo on him.
I did. Well,
he said it's not impressive. That's the he said. What did he say? That could not be any.
He said, I think he said I couldn't be any less impressed by that or something like that.
Because you track it out, it's like 59 yards a game.
It is. It's become. I think 1,000 yards used to be kind of the marquee for a good back 5-10 years ago. But that has moved up to the 1,500 realm, you know, and then you kind of have to add a good chunk of receiving yardage too for a lot of people. But, you know, speaking of guys that had a lot of receiving yards this year as well as rushing yards, Derrick Henry, so close to 2K this year.
He was a beast on, what was that, Saturday night?
Yeah. 20 carries, 1138 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Are you looking at Christy Stracker?
Yeah. This is
awesome.
The best.
She's great at it.
Yeah. We talked about Bryce Young, just if anybody missed it. I mean, what was he? 25 of 34, 251, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Great game for him.
Give me the Mac Jones numbers, because I saw 1 touchdown pass to Brian Thomas Jr. Did he have a good
only one of the day?
Did he have a decent day other than that? Did they lose?
You know, it was all right. 1 touchdown, 1 pick, 225 through the air.
Okay.
Quarterback controversy brewing in Jacksonville.
Hey, did you see who won on Sunday?
Your Bears.
The Chicago Bears.
It took those terrorists down.
First time in 10 years in Lambeau Field.
All it took was them losing Jordan Love and Christian Watson.
First time in 10 years in Lambeau Field.
That's pretty sweet, though.
It was.
Because you know what? Nobody will remember in 8 years that Jordan Love was hurt. They'll just remember, hey, remember when Caleb Williams beat the Packers in Lambeau
his rookie year? You know what? The Chicago Bears are undefeated in 2025.
That's pretty cool.
Caleb Williams has never lost in Lambeau Field.
That's true.
Let's wrap this up. Look, I know it's at the end of the show. So you guys who are still with us, that's great. If you are still watching us, you can leave us a comment. You are a real one. Leave us a comment and tell us why you're watching. That's great. Just kidding.
Sure, yeah.
Or who your transfer portal darling, which one you're most sad about. But I want to close this down by going off the rails. It's Monday, January 6th, and my big hobby outside is wrestling. I got the card pulled up.
Do you smell?
Oh, gosh. Wrestling is coming to Netflix. Raw is coming to Netflix. Are you ready? It's going to be 3.5 hours tonight.
I don't have to work at Home Depot tomorrow.
Yeah, it's going to be.
Melissa is going to be furious with me. I told her last night, I was like, we're going to watch that. You know, I don't know if we'll watch the whole thing. I was like, we'll tune into it.
It's supposed to be like 3.5 hours.
She has no idea what she's getting into.
Now, there's limited commercials, so it's going to be bam, 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 just like a banger after banger. But we're starting with Tribal Combat, Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa for this little red beaded thing they call the Ula Fala.
Where is it again? Where are they doing it again?
The Inuit Dome.
That's right.
And so it's all the effects from the...
yeah, I can't wait to see it.
Travis Scott's going to rap if you're into rap at all. Logan Paul's coming back for the first time in a while. I think
he's pretty good in WWE. I don't like
dude.
guy,
he is great at it.
I got to give it to him
because he's a jerk on the mic, just like he always is. He's himself. He's a turd, and he is a really good athlete.
Yeah.
And when you script something and tell him, hey, you got to do a backflip here and bump over there, he's really good. You get a last woman standing match from Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan for the women's championship. So they're going to beat the living snot out of each other. You get John Cena back. He starts his year-long return. The Rock comes back. He's probably going to talk a lot of junk to Cody Rhodes or to Roman Reigns. 3.5 hours. Drew McIntyre is going to be on it with Jey Uso. They're wrestling. Seth Rollins and CM Punk are going to close down the show. They're probably going to have a bloody affair, if I had to guess, and it's going to be a lot of fun. 7 o'clock on Netflix.
I'm excited to watch it. I mean, this will be the first time I've really watched appointment wrestling television in I don't know how long.
All right, so for your overview, you've got basically they wound down a lot of storylines towards the end of December, but they set some seeds for the turn of the calendar. You could go tonight on Netflix, and then beyond Mondays, whatever. Royal Rumbles at the end of January, and then basically from there it's WrestleMania. So it's like we're starting WrestleMania season kind of tonight. So if you want to get geared for WrestleMania, this is kind of the place to get into it right here. We're going to Netflix, and this is going to be I think the last match tonight, CM Punk and Seth Rollins. I think they're going to set that up as a trilogy going into round 3 at WrestleMania. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Appreciate anybody who's stuck around with us to indulge my hobby. We'll get out of here for the day. We'll be only talking Alabama tomorrow.
This is a headline about that. CM Punk thinks he and Seth Rollins might fight forever. That's just a great.
It's gonna be that. So the gist: Rollins idolized Punk, and he's like, "Oh, I'm not gonna train you," and so it's I'm just gonna get after, and they're just enemies. So it's just great.
It's really good stuff.
It's going to be all kinds of machismo. The beer is going to be flowing. I'm going to be making some pizza, I'm sure, watching Monday Night Raw on Netflix. And we'll be back to our normal time tomorrow. And we'll be back to our normal schedule this whole week. 5 shows this week as we've gotten through the holidays. We appreciate everybody joining us through the holidays. And I hope you had a good holidays. And get ready for 2025. Get something going. Oh my gosh, Mason, do you know what I'm committing to, what I'm getting involved in? Half marathon, Tuscaloosa half marathon. Come on.
A friend of mine just ran a marathon last month in Birmingham.
A whole one?
Mm-hmm.
They're insane.
He said it was awful.
I'm doing the Tuscaloosa half at the end of March, I believe. January, February, March.
He sent me and my friends a picture of his feet after it. Just a bloody mess.
Misery.
I don't know why anyone would subject themselves to that.
I did the half in 21.
I'll maybe show up with a sign and support you.
Dude, do it. Yeah, absolutely.
You won't catch me running.
You in on the 1 mile fun run that day?
I might give you can I give you 10, 20 foot, maybe a dash.
You and Melissa just walk it.
What about a 5, 10, 5 cuddle? I could do that.
All right, so that's what I'm getting into to start 2025. I'm saying that publicly to hold myself accountable. And so
locked in now. Back out.
Absolutely. We're going to get into it. So we're going to have a lot of fun. We'll talk Alabama football, basketball, baseball, all kinds of Alabama news and notes tomorrow right here on the Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral and BamaCentral.com.